It is a Reaction Monday post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart in the house taking your calls, and obviously Reaction Monday, and I'm guessing you want to react, which is totally understandable. 803-404-6100, the AAA Heating and Air hotline, the Firehouse text line. Feel free. It's a Reaction Monday and reacting to something historic and not in a good way. So feel free to give us your thoughts as we move forward through the show. I know our buddy, our pal, our chum, our friend, our compadre, Jay Phillips, has thoughts. I will let you start, my man.
Yeah, history making on both sides, right? I guess it depends on who you root for, but in this market, we know what that feels like. You know, I'm not going to lie, people. Well, first off, I've seen a lot of Carolina football in my life, a lot. Haven't seen that. Just haven't seen that. I've seen some things that have been painful. I've seen some things that have happened late in a game where it feels like your guts just get ripped right out of you as a South Carolina fan or a Carolina supporter or a Carolina alum or whatever label you want to place upon yourself when it comes to this football program. But I haven't seen that. I haven't. And I kid here a little bit. It's hard for me still to put this into words, but I have to because this is an audible medium. I don't have a choice but to put this into words. I can't sit here and give you facial expressions. Devastating comes to mind. Maybe that's too strong for some people. When you were a team that was still fighting quite literally just for bowl eligibility, is any one loss that knocks you out for good devastating? Again, could depend on your point of view. Devastating might be reserved for a team that was like last year's Carolina team on the cusp of a playoff or something bigger, and then suddenly, bang, something like this happens. But I do think devastating is one word. Confusing is a word. How could it be such a tale of two halves? How did you come out with such spirit and energy and then seemingly not have it? I don't think it's fully fair to say this team didn't have the energy in the second half. Terry and I were talking about this game earlier, and it does feel like in the second half, some of the things that Clayton White and his defense were doing successfully were attempted again, but A&M had answers. Disheartening is a word to try and label this result. Because as a supporter, regardless of what your team's history may be, when you're doing something like that and you know where you are and you know who it's against and you know what that team that you're beating is attempting to do and what they've been through in their last few decades of football, and you have the opportunity to present an upset, to do something to build your program up, again, only to have it seemingly ripped away. Disheartening is one. Embarrassing? It depends perhaps on your subjectivity and your point of view Saturday and Sunday. But how many of you, since this was an early kick, were still watching football all afternoon and evening? I know I was. And it felt like every couple of breaks before halftime of whatever game, and certainly during halftime, and then at Sports Center or the SEC wrap-up show or Sunday with Andy and Ari or Josh Pate, it felt, again, depending on your point of view, like Carolina might have been the laughingstock. That's not easy. It is embarrassing. It hurts. It hurts because it's your team, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I hate to say this, but I will, because some of you have hit me with it in some form or fashion over the last 48 hours. But the final word I'm going to label this with, not to say I independently feel this way, but I get it. Typical. This seems to happen to South Carolina. Not so much blowing a 27-point lead on the road against the top five team. That scenario in and of itself is not typical. But in terms of just one of these kinds of losses, It seems to happen too often to South Carolina for whatever reasons. But devastating is the one that came to mind first. And for my point of view, I'm going to stick with that one for how I kind of navigate today's program. Why couldn't what happened in the first half be repeated? Well, in a sense it could, but it wasn't. Offensively, Shane said we left too many plays out there. There were two things to me that stood out, and one above another. Terry really made me think of the second one again, and I know others have commented on this, and I certainly thought about it. But to me, the play of the game was the 4th and 12 to start the third quarter. You got to get that. 4th and 12, come on. And Marcel Reed runs for 16 yards. And that place came to life. And they go on to score, and they score 3 times in the third quarter, and they know they've got a fighting chance, and more than a fighting chance at that point. And the spirit and energy with which South Carolina was playing seemed to all transfer to the other sideline at that point. But to me, that 4th and 12 was the play of the game. Stop it, get the ball back in plus territory, run some clock. Even if you kick 3 points. I won't say that if you just had gotten 3 points, you win this football game, because there's a butterfly effect, as we often talk about. But what if you had even done that and just continue to set yourself up? At that point, you're up 30. It's a big mental block. But more than anything, I come back around to one of the questions that I ask a lot. How did you lose? 27 points, you're up, as we just said. What if this was a back-and-forth game all day? Do you feel better about it? What if you'd been trading blows for 4 quarters and Marcel Reed found a way to lead his team down and win at the end? You'd still have that disheartening feeling. You'd still have that gut punch, but maybe it's not as embarrassing, confusing. Who knows? What if you'd simply just been blown out? What if you were down 30-3 at halftime, and then they scored 14, 21 more points, and you just were never in it? Would you feel better? You'd certainly feel differently. Instead, as we just pointed out, you had a history-making result for both sides. Worst loss in terms of a margin that you had for Carolina, and the biggest comeback in A&M's football history. It did at times, despite what Coach Beamer said, I think it did at times feel like Carolina was playing not to lose. But maybe it's just because A&M made so many good adjustments that they smothered South Carolina offensively. 21 points allowed in the third quarter. One thing. Not scoring at all. That's something worse. And now you have 2 home games, Terry. 2 home games against in-state rivals, hungry to beat you. You're not going to a bowl unless you're one of the lucky ones with an APR good enough to get a 5 and 7 slot should they be needed. And I'm not sure Carolina is one of those teams at this point. They're going to be motivated coming to Columbia. The question is, does this linger to the point that you are no longer, as a team, as motivated? We've seen this team continue to show spirit, energy, fight. I can't imagine what that plane ride home was like. And now these guys really have a mountain to climb just to salvage a little bit of themselves in these final home games.
Yeah, man. I mean, you don't want the loss to Texas A&M to lead you to 2 other losses. Look, it's going to be difficult to flush this one. It just is, man. But you got to. Because you right now are installed about a 23-point favorite against Coastal. You can't pull an Old Dominion from last year and be in a fourth-quarter dogfight with Coastal with the psyche that your football team might be carrying from what just happened in College Station. So, yeah, to your point, you got 2 home games left, in-state rivals that would love to beat you. As hard as it sounds, you got to bury this thing in the yard and move forward. 2 things, Jay, I'll take from this. And obviously, we're going to talk about what happened on the field. And the 4th downs, to me, were the 2 big keys of the game. The 4th and 12, A&M converts, and the 4th and 1, the South Carolina doesn't convert. And obviously, we'll be breaking that up 50 different ways here soon. 2 things about this that did strike me. And we've had this conversation on and off this year. We've had Ryan Brewer in here having this talk. This is a talented football team. I don't think anybody would say on paper this team does not have talented football players. But there's just something missing. We have seen multiple games with fourth quarter leads that have vanished. We have seen multiple games, one-possession games in the fourth quarter where the other team's making plays and South Carolina isn't. The fourth quarter numbers for this team are abysmal, by the way.
Yeah.
They've been outscored. It's ridiculous how bad they've been outscored in the fourth quarter and what they haven't done at all on offense in the fourth quarter. So, and we've had this conversation on and off this year, but this comes down to me. Losing a 27-point lead, Jay, you could feel the momentum watching it on your TV. But you're in that den of cult members, 102,000 strong, who didn't leave, by the way, and they score. And they're on the sideline as an offense in a big meeting, pumping each other up and firing each other up, and they're down now 30-10. They're down 20, and they're getting lathered up. Who's lathering up on the South Carolina sideline? It's 30-17. Who's lathering up on the South Carolina sideline? Who's pulling these guys over and saying, fellas, everybody take a breath. Unpucker your lower extremities. We got the lead here. We're kicking the hell out of these guys. We get back out there. We got to get back to what we were doing in the first half. We're good. Everybody breathe. Or this, what the bleep is wrong with you? Quit playing scared. Get your head out of your butt. We got these guys. We can't let them back in. I wanted to go get Ryan Brewer and fly him to College Station and put him on the sideline. I mean, who, and I don't know the answer to this question, but I know this, playing sports on a very low level my entire life and playing in a lot of games with a lot of different people, when you have leadership and you've got dogs and dudes and alphas, you don't blow a 27-point lead. You just don't. Because somebody's either going to pump you up or punch you in the head, right?
Yeah.
You, and I don't know the answer to this question because I'm not on the sideline, I'm not in the locker room, I'm not on the practice field. You don't lose 27-point leads if you got dudes on the sidelines who are leading this thing, truly leading this thing. And that hit me because, again, you can feel on the field, on the court, on the diamond when it's slipping away. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You can feel it. And the difference is when you got guys who stand up and say, I'll be damned if we're going to blow this game. Let's get it together. Everybody focus. Let's go. I'm leading the way. Let's do this thing. I don't know if that – I don't know. You didn't hear anything from sideline reporters. You didn't see anything on the TV of anybody getting everybody together and whatever the case on the South Carolina sideline. You saw these guys looking at each other like this is slipping away. And at that point, somebody had to do something. It's that coaches can't – look, I'm not saying coaches aren't – look, the coach is always the first to blame when this stuff happens. I'm not absolving anybody. But you got to have leaders on the field with players who get in there and say, to hell with the coaches, this is about us. Let's get this thing, let's catch this thing now before it goes off the rails. And I just don't know if they have those guys, Jay. I just don't. And that's the thing that hit me. And the second thing that hit me was just watching the fans at O'Hara's, man.
Yeah.
It's like you said, some of them expected it. I had people at halftime say, well, I hope we can hold on. I'm like, dude, you're up 27.
Yeah.
And they end up being right. It just made me, I just felt bad. I'm not going to lie. I just did. We'll get back in here and continue our conversation on what happened. We want to hear from you on a Reaction Monday. 803-404-6100, Firehouse Sub Text Line, AAA Heating and Air phone lines. This is the Postgame Show.
Love telling you about our friends at U.S. Brick. Mikey Johnson and his team, the brand new design center, exterior design center at 300 UG Street. We did a show out there last month. Great people. They've got something really cool. Listen, this time of year especially is a time where you like to have a fire, but you might want to have that outdoor fireplace. They've got over there a massive isokern fireplace, natural stone, quarried from North Carolina. Got a few bits from Indiana in there as well. They've even got a little trivia you can have for the one they have on display. But the cool thing about these is what they're made from. It's pumice, natural volcanic rock, sourced from Iceland, and it traps heat where you want it, keeps it from spreading where you don't. You can actually touch it and see what this is all about. If this is something you're interested in, go see this. 300 UG Street, so much more you can do. Touch it, feel it, learn about it with our friends at U.S. Brick.
He's going to roll to his right. He's got to make one guy miss. Now he's got Harbor on the curl route. Here goes Nick at the 40, the 50. Open it up. Big guy at the 30.
Forget
20.
it. You won't catch
Nobody going to get him at the 5. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Nick Harbor. 80 yards in one touch.
Oh, God, I got to have that.
Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Nick Harbor.
Did they forget who they were trying to catch?
Oh, my gosh, what a catch and run.
Yeah, the only person to touch Nick Harbor was that goofy state trooper in the tunnel. 80-yard touchdown catch and run from Harbor. Seeing, Jay, what we've been wanting to see, which is Nick Harbor catching a pass in some space, turning upfield, and watching dudes tackle air. It was phenomenal. It was just a phenomenal play and a phenomenal first half that unfortunately gets buried in what happened in the second half. But that catch and run from Harbor was something, man.
It was. So the two things get buried there, I guess. The catch and that whatever the hell that was a few seconds later, which we'll discuss at another point.
At another time.
Probably,
Right.
probably not today, but man, that was surreal.
When I saw him breaking that open field, I was like, this is what the fans have been waiting for the entire season.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Linares, it was a nice play where he moved off to the right there to get himself some space on the roll, sees Harbor, hits him, and, I mean, A&M's in the zone, Harbor catches it, turns around. And if you're Nick, you turn around, start taking steps, like, where the hell everybody is? I might as well just run to the end zone. That's what I'm going to do. It was phenomenal. It was just a phenomenal play, and like Jalen said, Jay, it's been what fans have been waiting to see with Harbor for 3 years.
No kidding. I mean, we've all been clamoring for that, and it's just unfortunate. I think you make a great point, man. It's just unfortunate that it comes in this situation where you can't – I mean, you can still build upon it, but it's – I don't know. It just feels lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it does. All right, so Reaction Monday, let's get to you. We appreciate the calls on the AAA Heating and Air Hotline. Let's start off with Jack. Jack, thanks for hanging. You're on the post-game show on the game. How you doing? Hey, Jack. John, I'm sorry. John, my bad. Hey, John. John?
You're on air.
Hey, John, you're on the game. You can put him on hold, Jalen. We'll go to Matt. Pop him back on hold. Oh, you hung on. All right, let's get to Matt.
Matt's on the line.
Welcome to the post-game show. You're on the air. How you doing, man?
Hey, I've been better. I got an idea for how the staff could coach better. I think they need a common sense coach on the headset with them. Yeah, I'll do it for $5. They say, third and one. We want to run the running back up the middle, and the guy just goes, no. You got a 240-pound quarterback. Give him the ball. You know, coach, you got 3 plays in 18 seconds. We're going to call timeout after each play. You got it? Yes. Simple stuff. I don't understand the lack of common sense. Let's run a QB sneak. We've been calling for it all year. It doesn't make any sense. I think that's why everybody's so frustrated.
Matt, I hear you. We hear you, and thanks for the call, my man. Appreciate it. I mean, Jay, we go back to that series. It's 3rd and 1, and again, you run Fuller, that play that seems to not work about 96% of the time, especially in short yardage. It doesn't seem like it's worked all year. And you run that play we've been screaming, please, God, don't run that play ever again this year, and you run on 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, at least you got 4th and 1. You're running on 3rd and 2, I'm sorry, and it's now 4th and 1.
Yeah.
So you line up, and then you call a timeout, and you come back out, and you burned a timeout on running that play again. And it doesn't work again. And it's just like, the groan at O'Hara's almost knocked the roof off. I'm just sitting there looking at Tyler. Tyler's looking at me, and it's like, why? Why?
Yeah, the two timeouts burned were disappointing. And again, hear me out. You lost to the number 3 team in the country in their building by 1 point. There are scenarios where that's a hell of a performance, right? And in this case, it's not ever going to be looked at, and it shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But to Matt's point about a quarterback sneak, I don't know. I mean, I can't recall a time when Linares has lined up under center to go and do that, or even if you just want him to run the ball. But it is, I don't know. Maybe it's Matt's common sense thing, that's kind of funny, Matt, by the way. Well done. But Terry, is it simply a matter, perhaps, I'm asking here, because I don't really have an answer. Is it a matter of the play caller, whether it's been Mike Shula or now Mike Furry, just overthinking it to the point of believing, well, they have to know that Lenoris is going to get the ball? And my response would be, so what?
Right, that's me too. Well, you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's quit overthinking. It's simple. Mayan's better than Urine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get the ball to Mayan, and Urine can't stop Mayan because Mayan's better than Urine. It's very simple. And I think you hit it. I think sometimes you get caught up in this overthinking. And, they think he's going to run it, so we're going to do this. Well, if we block it like this with the front they have in this situation, we'll do that. But it's just, again, let's go back to it. Mine's better than yours. Mine can get a yard. I'm quite confident. And you know what? Even if you got Lenoris in the gun, which is, again, short yardage in the gun drives me insane in football. But if you're going to put Lenoris in the gun because he can't play under center, fine. Snap it to him. You know what you do, Jay? You put in the big elephant formation. Everybody blocks, and if Lenoris can't get a yard, you know what? Okay, we tried with our best guy and it didn't work. But at least we went down slugging with our best, right?
I'm trying to remember what game the other day, Terry, because I watched so much football on Saturday. There was a package where a team brought in like two offensive linemen to line up in the backfield in like a super jumbo package. Mm-hmm. And it worked brilliantly. I don't know if Carolina has one of those. But
teams do it, man. Line up the 10 offensive linemen in the quarterback. What the hell?
Yeah.
This guy should be able to get a yard for you.
And you know what? I mean, I don't want to sound defeatist here, but even if you don't get it, I'd rather go down swinging with my best player.
Yes. I'm with you 100%. Go down with my best guy. I'm going to go down swinging with my best guy. All right, 803-404-6100. One more before the break. Nick, we appreciate you holding. You're on the postgame show on the game. What's up?
Hey, bud. Long-time listener, third-time caller. I try not to call in too much. Man, I was feeling so good about halftime, but being a long-time Carolina fan, I knew that it wasn't enough. We probably should have went up 48, 52, whatever, to 3 at halftime. But what I did not understand is how did we not make adjustments? It's kind of like we stuck with the game plan that we opened up with. It was working, and I get it, but we gave up 28 unanswered points. So, like, how do you not make adjustments on the fly?
We appreciate it, Nick. Thanks for the call. Let's get to that on the other side, Jay. Let's talk about that. And
it's a fair question because I think there's a balance of where the truth lies, but I think he's onto something.
Yeah, let's get to that coming back. It's a post-game show. Jay Phillips, Jalen Tarr, Terry Ford, a Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. Hit us up on the AAA Heating and Air hotline and the Firehouse Sub text line. We'll get back and talk about Nick's question about adjustments next here on the game.
Down to, in my time since I've been here as the head coach, our record before this season was stellar going into the fourth quarter. And to not be able to finish in the fourth quarter like we have is really, really disappointing. It comes down to execution, players, coaches, and we just haven't done a good enough job of it in the fourth quarter. No matter what's happened to this point going into the fourth quarter, you're on the road, you got a 6-point lead. If I had told you on Tuesday morning that it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and we're going to be winning by a score, hell, we all would have signed up for that. So, hate that we didn't finish better.
All right, there's Shane talking about not finishing, which has been a theme of this season. Post-game show, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart, punching the buttons, Terry Ford, as we are rolling up until 6 on the Game Winner Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100, AAA Heating and Air Hotline, Firehouse Sub Text Line. Tonight, Monday Night Football, we have Cowboys-Raiders, 7:30. We get all of our coverage started here at the game. All right, before we get to not finishing and all that, Jay, let's go back to what Nick brought up in the last segment about lack of adjustments in the second half. Nick's idea was, look, came out doing the same stuff that they did in the first half that was working so well. Obviously, either A&M adjusted or A&M was kind of got their footing. And once A&M got rolling, Nick was like, well, where was the adjustments to what was happening in the second half? I think it's a fair question.
It is, and one reason I wanted Jalen to play that cut is because I think those things tie in together. I think the not finishing and the lack of adjustment questions can tie together, even if they are separate questions, Terry. And my point being, maybe you did make a few adjustments, but you didn't follow through all the way along. I can't believe that South Carolina's coaching staff simply went, we're all good. I don't think A&M's going to try anything different. So why should we? You knew, you had to know that A&M was going to come out differently. Even if the biggest thing A&M, Terry, may have changed was their intensity, right?
Absolutely.
And their focus. And that may well be the case. I mean, you're not suddenly delving into plays you haven't run in an effort to come back from down 27. I imagine most of the message was, hey, fellas, get your head out of your rear end. Right? Because let's face it, and be honest, Gamecock fans, A&M was sloppy. You had something to do with that, yes, but they had something to do with that in the first half as well, and they eliminated their mistakes. And, I do think that Clayton continued to dial up some pressures, to dial some things in that forced, in the first half, had forced A&M into those mistakes that made Marcel Reed look bad. And A&M didn't, my words here, Terry, A&M didn't fall for it in the second half, if you catch my meaning. I think he was good. Concepcion was good. They were never great, perhaps. I'm looking at the stats right now. They ran, they only ran for 64 yards on the day.
Right.
And you got to him with some. Reed's numbers ended up being -17. Now again, you and I and millions of others hate the way college football measures sack losses, but nevertheless, until they change it, that's how we have to measure them. But you did a nice job defensively, but what you didn't do was settle him down through the air in the second half, and you didn't affect him the way you did in the first half. So, to the point, to answer the question of adjustments, I suppose you could have dropped back into coverage more and not sent the house on a more regular basis, and would that have made a difference? I'm not sure. I'm really more concerned about that you didn't score a single point on offense, as much as anything on defense. And that, to me, again, was it defensive intensity? What suddenly wasn't working for you? You weren't moving the ball at will, but did you not feel your big plays were there anymore? And again, Terry, I think one question I continue to ask, was Lenoris able to be Lenoris? At times, yes. He was 15 of 30. That's not great.
It's not what you want.
No, and let's face it. 80 of those yards came on one play?
Then he had 54 in another big play to Jacobs.
Yeah, so over half your yards on 2 of those 15. Lenoris, good, not great, good running the ball, but again, some sacks. So I got to look at the net yards here, 12 for 28 with a long of 14. So again, if I could adjust it for sacks, he was good. I'd like to have seen Howell touch the ball a little bit more than he did. I think he had the 3 carries and 1 catch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, you know, I can't answer the question of how well they didn't adjust well. Did they adjust at all? I don't know, but I think the biggest message would have been, boys, these guys are now hacked off. You better be able to match it. That to me would be the biggest adjustment that probably wasn't made. And
that was when we went back to on the opening segment of the show. That's where you gotta get your leaders in there, man. Your players have to look at each other and say, these guys are serious now. Let's ramp up.
Yep.
We can't let them get back in this game. Let's put an end to this now. And that's both sides of the ball. And the only thing I'll go back and say about adjustments, I'm rewatching this game. I know why. But if you watch the first half, A&M's receivers were open. They were just dropping it, and Reed was all over the place. And part of that was pressure. He was pressured on 34% of his dropbacks. That's like 10% more than the regular he's faced this year. And he struggled against that pressure in the first half, right? So, you ready for this? He was 6 of 19 in the first half. Jay, he ended the half 1 of 11 with 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
He was scuffling, but that was pressure. There were guys open. I mean, you had Concepcion drop a touchdown pass. He was wide open. You had other drops where receivers were wide open. Reed was missing. When he threw the pick to Swain in the end zone, receiver was behind Swain. If Reed throws that ball where he should, that's a touchdown.
Yep.
So guys were open in the first half. So when you're watching all these dudes running open in the second half, you're like, what's going on? The difference was the pressure wasn't getting to Reed. And Reed just started playing better. And that's really, to me, it wasn't so much, okay, what do you do as an adjustment? It's just, okay, these cats are now, they're on their game. And the weakness in the first half is now being exposed, where it wasn't being exposed in the first half because your pass rush was covering it. So that really was, to me, going back to rewatch it, I'm like, ooh, dudes were open in the first half too. But I agree with you. The biggest adjustment was, oh, bleep. These guys they're fired up and they're ready to go. We got to shut them down now. We can't let them get back in the game. All right, let's grab a call real quick. It is Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. Dale has been on hold. Dale, we appreciate your patience. You're on the postgame show on the game. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank y'all for taking the call. I'm a diehard Gamecock, born and bred. I live out of state now, and I've been getting trash talked about this game for the past 2 days. And I've just been racking my brain, minus the Spurrier era. What is the program missing? How do we get out of the cycle of just the same old story? I'm just curious what y'all's thoughts are on getting to the next level.
Well, we appreciate that, Dale. Thanks for the call,
how long
man.
do you have?
We only got till 6.
And we've got a break in a minute and a half.
Yeah. So why don't we hold it, and we'll bring that up on the other side as well. How about that? You good with that?
Well, that'll be. We'll get started.
Because that's a conversation that's not going to be a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Am I right?
It's like one of those. It's like an 8-part podcast series.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, we can do that going into the top of the hour.
We'll move to the cushy couch and chairs and have that one, Jay. All right. All right, and Ray's on hold as well. We'll get to you on a Reaction Monday on the AAA Heating and Air phone line. Also, we'll hit your texting on the Firehouse subtext line. Both those numbers, 803-404-6100. Also, before I forget, because we have so much to get to, tomorrow here on the game, men's basketball. The men taking on Radford, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip at CLA. Again, you can hear that here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia and our affiliate 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Again, that is tomorrow, 6:30. Coverage gets started. Coming back, we will get into the conversation Dale brought up. Besides the Spurrier era, how do you get out of this cycle that you as a Gamecock fan feel like you're always in? We'll get to that next here on the postgame show. Jay, Jalen, Terry Ford, till 6 on a Reaction Monday here on the game.
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job. I thought they put a plan together to give us a chance to go be successful. Really, we're clicking and doing a lot of really good things in the first half, and then in the second half, for whatever reason, we just we weren't able to keep it going. Give A&M credit for that. Certainly some calls we'd like to have back. Certainly some execution we'd like to have back. And but overall, I thought they did a nice job of putting a plan together.
All right, there's Shane Beamer talking about Mike Furry and the offensive staff's performance in their first game in their new roles. Post-game show, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart are running the controls for us, Terry Ford. What really sucked? Look, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there, right, Jay? That's it, Got a lot of low-hanging fruit in Columbia, what really sucked, but I'll focus on something else. And what really sucked, if you're the Chargers and you're playing one of the worst pass defenses in football, and you have one of the compelling young quarterbacks in the game, and he throws for 81 yards, and you get depantsed in Jacksonville 35-6, and you're the Chargers. That was a head shaker, man. Just saying.
It was. I will not lie, though. I got no problem with it for obvious AFC West reasons.
Yes,
I'm with you.
You're happy.
6 points. 6 points against Jacksonville. Come
I know.
on. I don't care where the game is played. I mean,
I guess my question was, I would have given Justin Herbert a breathalyzer at halftime. How drunk are you?
Or Harbaugh.
Yeah, or Harbaugh. Somebody, right? Somebody.
I mean, Terry, you thought the Jaguars and the Jets were two different teams on Thursday. I mean, shoot. I mean, my best friend is a Chargers fan, and he sent the kid crying and running down the hallway when they were getting beat by Jacksonville. It was
weird.
Shocking.
Very weird. So that's what sucked here on the post-game show. So, all right, let's get back to the point that Dale brought up, Jay, about besides the Spurrier era, there's been a lot of inconsistency year to year, good year, disappointing year. Oh, our expectations are up. It's going to suck, and sometimes it does, like this year. And then shocking the world like last year, but it's never consistent to where you're stacking years of success. You're from here. You grew up here. You went to school here. I'll let you go first. What do you think?
More good players. I'm not going to – I mean, I can sum this one up. We can sit here and talk about a lot of philosophical things, but I will never let go of the fact that you need more good players. The best programs in the country have a two deep that is virtually interchangeable. When South Carolina was at its best under Steve Spurrier, you know what they had? Quality depth. And it made a big difference. Think about it. When Marcus went down, you had answers. You had a bunch of guys up front on both sides of the ball that could really get the job done. When Connor Shaw came out, Dylan Thompson had a way to get things done. Heck, when Steven Garcia had to be benched, there was Connor Shaw ready to go. I could go on and on. You had a bunch of NFL receivers. You had a bunch of NFL DBs. It's talent, Terry. This is college sports. It's talent. Now there are other things, but excuse me. It's not this school's fan base, or it's not the fan base and any lack of desire. Carolina doesn't have the money that Texas or Florida has or anything like that, but South Carolina can hold its own. To me, more than anything else, that's it. I mean, look, if you could go get a George Rogers every 5 or 6 years, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Or a Sterling Sharp. And the funny thing is, you did follow George up with Sterling a few years later. You had Steve Tannehill come in here and do things. And you've always put guys into the National Football League, just maybe not at the rate that some of the biggest programs do. To me, that's it. And I do think Shane can recruit. Now, again, I'm giving you a very simplified answer in a 4-minute segment here. But if you want to boil it down to one thing more than any other, again, you're right. I am from here. I am in my mid-50s. I have never for even a second believed in anything like the chicken curse.
Right.
There are a lot of programs that suffer from the same thing South Carolina suffers from. And there are programs like Georgia and Alabama, and Ohio State that don't suffer from it, Terry, and it is called quality depth. That's why so many other schools kind of cycle in and out, and Carolina is one of those schools. That to me, again, there are other things we could talk about in a deep dive one day. But you want the biggest thing? It's that's it. More good players.
If I just pick one thing like you, I'll take it a little bit another step in that direction, is developing your own.
Yeah. Well, you have to do
and
that.
you have to develop your own, because again, we've seen the last 2 years, the portal giveth, the portal taketh away. Right? Last year, hit a home run in the portal, brought in a bunch of guys, bunch of dudes, difference makers, leaders, grown men in minivans. I mean, it was phenomenal, right? This year,
and however you get those more good players, whether you recruit them or whether you develop them, but it has to be both here.
I just think the old-fashioned getting in players and developing them. Even in this era of time, you have to have a base foundation of guys you bring in and develop. You can't always be hoping the portal's going to hit home runs for you. That's how you get more consistent to me.
Yep.
All right, Ray, we didn't want to shortchange you, my friend. Hang in there. We'll get you an hour or two, and you at 803-404-6100. It's a Reaction Monday. Feel free to react on the AAA Heating and Air Hotline or the Firehouse Sub text line.
All right, it's holiday time. Griffin Pools and Spas might be a great place to stop in, surprise your family. Again, you've seen one of the more famous Christmas movies. I can't say what it is because we can't do that in commercials. But you know that the star dad wants to get the family a pool, right? And then hilarity ensues. Well, maybe the hilarity won't ensue, but are you ready to tell your family that, hey, guess what we're getting for Christmas? Time to get a brand new pool. Griffin Pools and Spas is ready to help you. You can build that pool any time of year, especially in our climate here in the South. And what if you started doing that not long after the holidays, and then everybody's all excited? Because let's face it, like 2 months after Christmas, you can start swimming around here, right? I mean, you can. It's that simple. So stop in and see the pros at Griffin. They're ready to help you out. Steps away from the Lake Murray Dam. You can call them up, 957-2121, or learn more right now at griffinpoolsandspas.com. Be a holiday hero with Griffin Pools and Spas.
What a heck of a first half. Like I said, we weren't surprised. Nobody came into the locker room at halftime celebrating, thinking the game was over, thinking that we could just go out there and coast in the second half. We talked about it at halftime. The scoreboard is irrelevant. Our whole mentality today was coming in here and dominating. And when you're dominating, you don't, look at the scoreboard. When you're trying to dominate something, you just keep going. And that's what we talked about. But, in the second half, just really disappointed with the way that we, performed.
There is Coach Shane Beamer post-game talking about the disappointment on how the team performed in the second half. Obviously, when you let a 27-point lead slip away in 30 minutes, you would be obviously massively disappointed. Post-game show, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart at the controls, Terry Ford. We'll get to you on a reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. We've hit a lot of the AAA heating and air hotline. We'll get back to that with Ray in a sec. Also, we have some text to get to on the Firehouse sub-text line. Also, 803-404-6100. Do not forget, men, tomorrow night against Radford, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip. Tonight, Monday Night Football, Cowboys, Raiders. Our coverage gets underway at 7:30. All right, Jay, let's talk about that second half. Because, again, Shane says basically, hey, we weren't watching the scoreboard. We were being aggressive. We were trying to stay aggressive. It felt watching it. And look, again, this is human nature, and this goes back to what we were discussing in the opening riff of the show. When you're hanging on for dear life, you are keeping an eye on the scoreboard saying, please, God, have that thing move, right? I mean, that's human nature when things are slipping away and you don't have – and again, when I said this earlier in the show – this is not the two things. It's not to say, well, the coaches had nothing to do with that loss, because when you have an epic meltdown of that proportion, it splatters on everybody, right? There's no one pretty much is blameless in that situation. And obviously you start with the coaching staff and then you look at other things. But I just also feel, Jay, I didn't see, and they didn't talk about it during the game, because the sideline reporter's always telling you what's happening on the sideline, right? I think it was Taylor McGregor. And she was talking about the A&M sideline, how they're trying to keep pumping each other up, even though they're getting whooped. And as soon as they scored in the first drive of the second half, Marcel Reed got the entire offense together. And remember who we are, what we can do, and we got a long way to go here, and blah, 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 blah. I didn't hear anything about the South Carolina sideline at all. What was happening? What was going on? Who's talking? Who's pumping each other up, or who's getting each other's grill? You heard nothing about that. I didn't see, when I had a chance to look over there, anything. And when it's slipping away, to the point of why I'm getting to that, is when things are slipping away and nobody's being able to get you back in the right frame of mind and you're feeling it, all you want, Jay, is that clock to run really fast.
Yeah, and is that part of the is that part of the adjustment, Terry? Do you try to go to a more clock control ground game and maybe get away from some of the things that had been successful in terms of getting some receivers into space? Some of the things you were talking about. We talked about the Nick Harbor. That wasn't the Virginia Tech play, right? That was get the ball to Nick, and then boom, there he went. You'd like to see more of those kind of things. Was there a feeling of, well, incompletions stop the clock? And I don't know all these things, and you have to give Shane some benefit of the doubt when he says, look, we didn't try to just sit there. Right. We didn't just hope and pray that the clock was going to run out, because you have to keep the football. But yeah, Terry, I think that might have been the adjustment, and you could certainly, as a fan or any observer, make the case that, well, maybe you should have just kept doing exactly what you were doing, because at that point, might you have put more points on the board, or some points on the board. Again, you didn't score. You didn't score. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying that, look, you could say 3 points wins the game. If you just get a field goal, all other things being equal. I don't know that I always look at things that way. My good friend Michael Haney taught me not to do that a long time ago. But I understand that premise, that theory, right? But you gotta find a way to put some points out there. And yet, once again, here was a football team twice in the fourth quarter with the ball and a chance to go do just that, kick a field goal or get some points and win the game. So that's why I asked earlier, not to make anybody feel any better, but if this was a back and forth affair and you had lost by one, you don't feel better, you feel different. But that's not what this was, because what you did was, I mean, you blew it. You blew it. You just got to call it what it is. So I don't know what those conversations were like, but I imagine there was some feeling of, well, let's see if we can't control the clock a little bit more. But to a point you made earlier indirectly about that, and many fans have, you don't do that very well. You don't run the ball well here.
Right.
So you've got to find other ways to move the football effectively, and I don't know that they felt comfortable doing that in the second half.
All right, let's get to our buddy Ray on the Firehouse text line, the AAA Heating and Air hotline, 803-446. Ray, it's a Reaction Monday. Thanks for holding on. Thanks for your patience,
Terry,
my man.
Terry, I tell you, Terry, now you know why us old Gamecocks say, gee, fellas, how are we going to mess this up? You know, I tell you, it's just, that feeling of, what's going to go wrong now. But anyway, God. Well, this is how I look at it, guys. About going forward. I want to talk about going forward, and I'm under the perception that Coach Beamer will be back. So, Jay, remember the old Seinfeld episode where, and I'm sure you remember too, Terry, where Frank Costanza, he said, going forward, whatever the old Frank would do, I would do just the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember how he stuck it to Steinbrenner, of course he had the Yankees wearing cotton, but anyway, I think our football program's got to look at it that way. We got to go against conventional wisdom, what we've done in the past. Even before Coach Beamer was here, like the caller said, it's like this 5-year plan thing is just like blown up in our face, except for one coach in the last 40 years, So, Coach Beamer's back. I think the Naughties really got to help Coach Beamer, and they can keep it secret. I don't care. They can keep it secret. They got to go out and hire the best coordinators. And you notice I said best coordinators, plural. I'm sorry. We've got to pay the money and get the guys that have done it. And this is where Shane's got to kind of be a little bit different. He may have to give us some autonomy. We're going to have to pay the money to get that offensive coordinator and make that guy your head coach of your offense. Let him call the timeouts. Because, I love Shane. Shane's a great recruiter. He's a great motivator. I'm glad for him to be the CEO of our program, but we got to spend the money and get the coordinators that can absolutely do the job. That's all I got to say, guys.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for your patience. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to. I mean, Shane said, right after he wants to hire an OC right after the Clemson game, get to work as hard and fast he can. And I'll just say this, Jay, I don't care what your timeline is and how fast or slow. You just get it right. You got to get it right this time because, again, you're going to go into a make-or-break type season conceivably for yourself. If you go into a 5-7, 4-8 off season, and you go into next year, you can't have a repeat of any of that, right? You got to get this. You got to get back where you were last year. So this offensive coordinator hire is gigantic for the future of not just 2026 South Carolina football, but for Shane and what he wants to do here moving forward. You got to get it right. You just maybe Ray's right. Whatever you thought in hiring the last three, do the opposite. What the hell? Be George Costanza. I don't know. But you got to get this one right, Jay. You just do.
Next season, again, still looking for that replacement for Miami, unfortunately. Non-cons, Towson, here at Clemson. Conference road games at Bama, at Arkansas, at Florida, at Oklahoma. Home games are Georgia, Kentucky, State, Tennessee, and A&M. So you'll have one other team in there that you want to go, play. Again, will it be a group of 5 school? I hope it's not a double-A school, but it might well be a double-A school. I guess Towson's a double-A, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then it can't be another double-A. Well, I guess it technically could, but, God, I hope not. So, that's what you're looking at. Going to Alabama, going to Florida with a new coach, going to Oklahoma, going to Clemson. Man, I mean, Georgia comes here, Tennessee comes here, A&M comes here.
Mm-hmm.
They're all hard. I'm not saying so. I'm just giving people an idea of what. And again, I don't know that we don't have all the dates yet, so I don't know what that looks like in terms of how it's actually scheduled. But it's never easy. But I'm with you. You do have to get it right. But I don't know what the biggest it is. To Ray's point, make him the head coach of the offense. Yeah, you do that. Look, Shane still needs to be in charge, and Shane knows enough football to do plenty. But he wants to get this right. But does this person need to be a better – I think in-game play calling is the number one thing I'm looking at relative to, say, but I mean, it could be like 52% to 48%. Like you need a quarterback developer too. I mean, it's a big job. It's a big ask, and I really do think to Ray's point about Jeremiah Donati giving him the help, Terry, you might need to go out and spend $2 million on this hire.
Yes,
a year.
You might
and
have
it probably
to.
needs to be a minimum 3-year deal.
Well, Reddy, here's the thing, Jay. Let's just take a look at reality of also another point here. If you're an offensive coordinator and you got skins in the game, are you going to come to South Carolina where a coach is coaching for his job, and you could conceivably be looking for a new job the following year?
It's a delicate balance, and because it is a business.
Yeah. But if you're going to offer if you're going to offer them, to your point, you're going to have to overpay somebody possibly to get them to come here in that situation. And like you said, put it in whatever you have to set up contractually to make them feel better about taking that chance. That's where I'm going on this, is you've got to, you said, $2 million plus we're guaranteeing you X amount of money no matter what happens and blah, blah, blah. Or, maybe at the end of the day, that's someone who's coming in. Maybe the flip side of that is, and again, we're talking the business of this, maybe someone's coming in with the idea, well, they're going to pay me a lot of money, and two, if this thing does go sideways, I might be the interim coach and get my shot. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways guys could look at this, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, if I'm Shane, I'm wary of that last one.
The Bobby Petrino? The Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily wanting that one. By the way, breaking news, speaking of Shane, indirectly, Terry, indirectly. I mean, make that abundantly clear. We're just getting the alert that Virginia Tech and James Franklin are finalizing a deal for Coach Franklin to become the new head man in Blacksburg.
I think that's a great move by Virginia Tech. I really do. And by Franklin, too. That works for both ways, doesn't it? In my opinion. Yep. Now, again, it could go into crapper like Scott Frost, go into crapper like Luke Fickell. But you figure Franklin going to Virginia Tech, he'll win games. He wins games. Hell, he won games at Vandy. He's going to win games. And you put 8-9 wins on the table at Blacksburg per year, they'll love you. And two, there's an easier route to that college football playoff through the goofy ACC, Jay. Just saying.
Yeah, he knows the area. He can he can recruit. Look, he didn't win the big games, and that is baffling that it was so bad at Penn State in the big games. You won't have as many of those in the ACC. So I'm with you. The path to 10-plus wins feels easier. And that's one of the schools we've talked about, Terry, like, hey, you got to get it back, Virginia Tech, back to what Coach Frank had.
Right. And so basically the rumors of Shane and Virginia Tech, that could all go to rest now because they'll be, unless something goes wrong at the last minute, they'll be hiring James Franklin.
It's not done yet, but Pete Thamel says, and we saw that this morning, that this was expected to be announced sometime today, at least a decision up or down sometime today. So it looks like the decision is up.
All right. We will Reaction Monday. We have not gone to the reaction on the Firehouse Sub text line. We got some of those, Jay. We'll get to those coming up here on the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart, steering the ship, Terry Ford, till 6 right here on the game.
Know somebody in your life like me that loves to do yard work? Yeah, there's a few of us out there that certainly enjoy it. Or maybe they don't enjoy it all that much, but if you got them something to make it easier and more efficient, would that make their life a whole lot happier? Well, stop in and see the pros at Cato's Power Equipment for some great gift ideas. Whether it's getting it for your husband, or maybe guys getting it for your dad or your brother or brother-in-law or uncle, or heck, your next door neighbor whose blower is way too loud and old, and your great neighbors, get him something more efficient, maybe a little bit quieter. Stop in and see the pros, Matt and Ben, the whole crew, my buddies at Cato's. They fit me with such great stuff. Love working with it, and you will too. Stop in and see them, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard. Shop online, catospowerequipment.com. Be a good gift giver and keep the yard looking good with Cato's Power Equipment.
All right, we are rolling the Reaction Monday here on the Postgame Show. We're going to grab some calls here in a minute on the AAA Heating and Air phone line, but Firehouse Sub text line. Got a few here there, Jay Phillips. Obviously, a lot of positivity here. All right, the loss hurts, but how does your leader, your quarterback, take 2 sacks and run to the sidelines on 4th and 16? Didn't even give your team a chance to win. You have to throw the ball no matter what. You do have to throw the ball no matter what on 4th and 16 head to the sidelines.
Yeah.
You got to try to do something. Maybe you can get a PI, whatever the case. Yes. You know, the thing about I think it was a 2nd down, and I'm going to say this really quick because I want to be fair. I thought Mike Furry in the first half, we saw, I've been whining and screaming here all year about poor route combinations all year, right, with the wide receivers. I thought there was some good stuff Furry did in the first half with route combinations. Like on that deep touchdown pass to Jacobs, they did a really nice job of running, I think, Jaden Sellers on a slant in the middle of the field, which made the safety react to him, and that gave Jacobs a one-on-one with the corner who he beat, and then Linares threw a flat-out dime for the touchdown. And that's route combination, what I've been saying, Jay. Make these guys make bad decisions. Make them hesitate for a minute. You got to move guys in different areas of the field to make these cats move around and have them, commit to certain areas so you can get guys open. And they did a few of those, and they were really nice in the first half. But I don't know if it was 2nd or 3rd and 1 when Sellers got sacked in that last drive. Once again, Jay, 2 guys run deep down the field. There's no safety valve. There's no outlet. And Linares is holding the ball and holding the ball and holding the ball, waiting for somebody to get open, and he gets sacked. You got to take off. If they don't help you with any receivers, Jay, you just got to flat out and say, bleep this, I got to go. You can't stand in the pocket and take a sack right there. You just can't. But they didn't help you with the route combination on the play call.
Not on that particular one, and I agree with you, and that's one of the things I've said this season about Linares. It feels different than last year, and it's not, I don't want it to be a full-on criticism, but making bad plays for good reasons. He wants to go through the progression. I applaud that, but you can't take a sack.
No.
So, and you can take off, and I think he's trying to develop his own game, and I have no problem with that either. But I just can't let go of it, Terry. And I know I bring this up a lot for regular listeners. They've heard me, a bunch through the last 6 weeks or so, going back to an early conversation with Ryan Brewer. And Terry, you know where I'm going. I'm like, I just want it to be like last year. And Ryan said, "What, you want the play to break down and Linares to run?" I'm like, "Oh."
Hey, Jay, can I be honest? Where we're at right now, sure, why not, right? What the heck at this point?
I don't want the play to break down, but I do want Linares to be Linares, and that's been my overarching theme. Really, is Linares being Linares, and as we now have 10 games to assess this season, we can go back to the Virginia Tech game, and he didn't feel like Linares in that game, and maybe he never really has compared to last season. Is that all on Linares? No, it's not. But is some of it on Linares? Yes, it is.
It's a combination, absolutely. It takes a village. All right, let's grab a call real quick on the AAA Heating and Air hotline, 803-446-100. Dan, thanks for your patience. Thanks for holding. You're on the postgame show. What's up, my man?
Oh, gentlemen. Jay, you said it perfectly. How do you express all of this in an audio formatted medium? There's just no words. I am not by any stretch of the imagination one of the money people at Carolina, but my wife and I were doing some math the other day, and it's not an insignificant amount of money that we spend to sit on the west side, which, by the way, we are in that group that has received that wonderful email from the AD that our seats are going to get disrupted and all that kind of fun stuff. I've kind of come to this conclusion. Jay, you're right. We just need better players. And rather than creating a game day experience, which is their big push with what we're doing at Williams-Brice, rather than having more craft beer choices, why don't we put that money to having better players on the field? That's the day we're in. Listen, I'm a huge Shane Beamer fan. I hope that he can figure this out. Man, coaches don't necessarily get fired just because of wins and losses. They get fired when the fan base basically says, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And so I hope that we can get this turned around. But, man, let's put the money on the field. You guys are talking about paying a coordinator. Go get the right guy. Pay him what we need to pay him, and let's turn this thing around. My goodness, I don't know if I can handle another day like I experienced on Saturday.
Oh, Dan, thanks a lot.
Right.
And look, Dan's not alone in this frustration. I think Dan
That's a
makes
good phone call.
It's a really good phone call. And when it started off, oh, man, I was like, oh,
right.
Dan, have a craft beer on us. But it's just look, that's the thing.
Yeah, I got to disagree with him on that, right? I need all my craft beers. Right?
Yeah, Jay will pick the craft beer over the player. Absolutely. But here's the thing about it, Jay, is, yeah, this is an arms race, man. It's about spending money the right way, spending it smartly, but spending the money. I mean, look, you just can't throw it at you always have to think of, how you're building a team, and team building still matters, but you got to spend the money to keep your own and to go get others to help you win games. But you also have to still go get those kids the old-fashioned way through high school and develop them in your culture the right way. Because when you're bringing guys in from other places, Jay, you're hoping, like last year, it all fit perfect, right? It just did.
Yep.
This year, it hasn't. And if you can grow your own, you go through the high school ranks, but you got to pay them. But you've got to spend your money. You got to spend money, like Dan said. You got to spend it wisely, though, and you've got to be able to, not be afraid to break out your checkbook for the coordinator, for players, for whatever. That's the world we're living in now. And look, look at the turnaround of Texas Tech. Well, Texas Tech has been tumbleweed ever since Mike Leach left.
Yeah, I would look even closer, Terry. I don't disagree with you on Texas Tech, but I'm looking at Mississippi. You know what Mississippi just did? They won their 10th game. You know how many times they've done it now? 3 years in a row. You know what that is? The first time ever that Mississippi has had 3 consecutive 10-win seasons. We've already seen that here in a non-NIL era, so it can be done again. I mean, Steve Spurrier, whether you want to look at the middle 3 of that 5-year, or again winning 49 games in a 5-year stretch, averaging basically 10 wins a season over that run, it can be done here.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. You've seen hard evidence, and Shane was here for at least the early portions of that before he moved on to go back and coach with his dad for a little bit. But I think finding ways to spend money on players more creatively, and I don't mean nefariously, I just mean creatively, is going to be a big deal for Carolina. But you and I have said before, I don't know if that means like just trying to follow the model of what Mississippi has done, or to some degree what Tennessee has done, because it's worked for Tennessee as well, but that's what you're going to have to do. And yes, Terry, I'm with you 100%, man. You got to develop your guys. Everybody's got to continue to develop. But with all, and I mean this, if Mississippi can do it, South Carolina can do it.
Absolutely.
That's not a knock on Mississippi.
No.
It's not a knock on Mississippi.
I mean, look, that Grove Collective, look, if Ole Miss makes a college football playoff, and they're giving out, rings and stuff to the players, you better give the guy that runs the Grove Collective a ring.
Yeah.
Because that Grove Collective has been a game changer at Ole Miss. And
I think Ole Miss is in this time, right? I mean, they got 10 in the regular season. Last year it was 10 with the bowl game. Now
they got 10. I know the Egg Bowl can get goofy, but if they win that thing, it's a wrap, and they're in the playoff.
Yeah.
So, look, you need to, can I be honest with you, just go steal what Ole Miss did and then bring it here, and then form it to what you have here and run, because that has actually been a godsend to that program. Absolutely. All right, we got to get back in here. We will continue to talk with you at 803-404-6100 on the AAA Heating and Air phone line. Also, the Firehouse Sub text line. And other things happen in the SEC we have not even talked about yet, Jay, we got to get to as well here on the post-game show on the game.
tell you a lot about the men's clinic. Guys, if you're in the category of sheepish about what's going on, embarrassed about what's going on, you think, look, I know I got some issues, but I don't really want to talk about it with anybody, even a doctor. Don't be that guy. Go see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the men's clinic. Don't tough it out thinking, hey, whatever it is, it'll go away. Everything goes away over time. Nope, not in situations like this. Get to feeling better when you see Dan and his team. They are experts in healthcare for men, dedicated to getting you back to feeling like you used to, like you want to, and like you can. Yes, they've got solutions to the issues that are out there. You get a one-on-one consultation. They'll talk with you about what's going on, prescribe a plan that's just right for you. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. 803-875-MENS. Call the Men's Clinic.
All righty, so right now we have our usual construction around the Midlands, I-20 and 26 at Malfunction Junction, I-126 there at Hugie. We'll give you the action update here shortly. Weather-wise, man, it's looking good so far. 65 degrees right now, sunny, be in the 60s for the rest of the afternoon, dropping to the low 40s overnight. But again, no precipitation. We'll get back up around 70 for tomorrow. We will come back and continue our Reaction Monday, talking with you on the AAA Heating and Air phone line, Matt and Jose. Also, more texts from the Firehouse Sub text line as well. And we will jump into what happened in the SEC on Saturday before we get out of here. It's a post-game show. Jay, Jalen, and Terry on the game.
It's barely a yard. And we came to win. We challenged our team all week that you got to be the most physical team. And frankly, Todd, if you can't get, it's not even a yard. If you can't even get a half yard, tip your cap to them. And, their guy made a nice play. Hindsight being 20/20, maybe, get the ball in Lenoir's hands on the perimeter and let him run. I don't know, but felt like we had a good call. We had a timeout to talk about it, and just didn't execute there. Disappointing to not be able to get a yard there.
Yeah, post-game show, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart, Terry Ford on a Reaction Monday. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to put the ball in 16's hands and see if he can get a half a yard. And if he can't, I'm going to go down swinging with my best guy. But the truth be told, and we've seen this all year, Jay, this offensive line has just not been very good. And we've seen them fail in these 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s on more than one occasion. And if the one thing you got to do in the offseason, and is it you hire Sean Elliott as your permanent offensive line coach and give him a whole offseason to work with these guys? You got guys here who are highly touted coming out of high school. It just has not worked. But one of the number one things after hiring an offensive coordinator, Jay, is you got to get the offensive line to where they are at least solid, because you can't do jack if you can't win up front offensively. You just can't, man. And we've seen it all year.
Well, and I want to know how much the offensive coordinator hire, whoever that person might be, talks about the offensive line, how hand in hand those kind of things go, Terry, because to your point about player development, it's unfortunately rather obvious that is a place, offensive line, where that development has not come to fruition the way you need it to, because to your point, most of those guys up there are 4-star guys. You got a couple of 5-stars as well, and you brought in some really good transfers that, at least at this level, have not seen it translate the way they had hoped, and they would continue on their progression. And it's a big step up from certain levels of football. I get that. Sean has proven. You go back, we had a caller earlier about the Spurrier era. Who was coaching that offensive line all those years? Sean. They were really good, Terry. They were really good.
That's what I heard.
So, Sean knows what's up. And Sean can inspire. Sean can teach and coach. And I use those words separately in certain situations. So, is someone that is, are these candidates, especially as Shane zeroes in on the more legitimate and serious candidates, are they going to look at Sean and say, yeah, that's cool? Or do they want to bring their own guy? And I don't know. I personally want Sean to stay. I think because, again, he's proven he can do it. And Sean's got a reputation that other coaches around the country know of. So they may be able to look and go, oh, you got Sean Elliott, huh? All right, let's make that work. But everything starts there. There's no question. Everything starts up front. You and I keep saying it. And again, here, for those of you who listen to us often, you've heard me say this a bunch in the last month. And certainly especially in the last 2 weeks since Mike Shula was dismissed. I don't care if you got Bill Walsh calling your plays. If the play blows up within 2 seconds because your line can't block, it doesn't matter. It simply does not matter. So you've got to fix that first.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 803-404-6100. Matt has been holding on. Matt, thanks for your patience. You're on the post-game show on the Game on a Reaction Monday. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. Doing well. Thank you guys for taking my call. Just hear me out. I'm out here in Texas. I'm about, 90 miles from College Station. Of course, we're the laughing stock out here right now. I mean, the whole talk all day, even from yesterday and Saturday, is about the Gamecocks. How do you blow a lead like that? Blah, 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 blah. I sit here and listen to you guys' show morning and evening. And here's the thing. Very supportive of Shane Beamer. You all are. I'm not. Never liked him as a coach. I used to carry his father around with Virginia Tech, and to me, never really won the big games. You ask yourself, how long Vanderbilt coach been there? How long the coach been at Texas A&M? How long a couple other coaches been there? And they're winning. Shane have not really won anything at South Carolina. It has not been any growth at South Carolina. And then the players, the coaches are, I should say, the people turn around and say, oh, Lennar Sellers messed up. Yeah, God makes mistakes. But what about when we were down there, got the ball, and we had like 18 seconds on the clock? The coach let 5 seconds run off instead of trying to score a touchdown to kick a field goal. Things like that, you got to look at coaching as a whole. I used to stand on the sideline with college and pro, and I'm telling you, Shane, as much as a nice guy he is and he's a great family guy, I've seen that. I've been around his whole family for years. I used to be in South Carolina for a long time dealing with these. He is not going to turn South Carolina around. I don't care how many new coaches you put around him. It goes back to the line. You quick outs. You got Lennar Sellers with an arm like a bullet. He can throw a ball time he touch it in his hand. Why are we never doing little cross routes? Anything to change the game, to help the offensive line that is very poor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you take Lennar Sellers. If you ever been in a car wreck, you always squeamish every time you drive a car from that day forward. This guy been getting beat up for the last year. He's definitely going to make mistakes when he think the line breaking down a little bit. But it goes back to the head coach. You can play all the assistants you want, and ultimately it's the head coach, because too many teams are winning with head coaches. And we could. I heard one guy say, well, why don't you bring in a big-name coach? Well, look at Dabo Swinney when Clemson brought him in. He wasn't a big-name coach. What do they have? A national championship under the belt. Guys, something has to change in South Carolina. I don't want anyone to ever get out of a job, but we first got to start at the top. And it's embarrassing to live out here. I've been getting beat up all day, all yesterday. I mean, it's really embarrassing to be out here to hear about how they
Matt,
talk about us.
first of all, we're sorry, bud. We feel we really feel bad for you. Maybe we get and thanks for the call. Maybe we can send him with Langston. Langston can hook him up with some barbecue or something in Dallas. Look, here's the thing. Yes, everything starts and stops with the head coach. Shane Beamer right now is 32-29. Jay.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me.
And look,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I got the statistics.
Go ahead, Jay. Jalen. It's 32-29, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pulling it up though.
All right, look it up. Look, I've made no. I like Shane personally. You like Shane personally. You've known Shane a long time. Shane's been great with us. He's been good with us. He's given us access. He's always been available and things of that nature. So personally, do we like him? Sure, but objectively, yes. Yesterday. End of the first half, you can't let 5-6 seconds run off the clock there. You could have had an extra play that might have got you a touchdown. Then think about what your lead is going into halftime. Absolutely. Right. I mean, again, 3rd and 4th and 1. Look, I've said this before. If you're the head coach, Jay, you're the grand poobah. If you don't like a play call, you say, no, man, let's run 16 as our best running back. Forget this run up the middle that never works. He said he was part of that conversation. Look, Jay, with Shane, he's done some really good things, beating Clemson twice at Clemson, 8-win season, 9-win season. But you've also seen, coming off of those seasons, Jay, when people were very excited and the expectation level came up, we have seen 2 massively disappointing seasons to follow those seasons. So, again, we can love him and like him and want him to succeed and root for him and be objective about where it's at. And, yes, Shane Beamer will most likely be coaching for his job next year because this team obviously is not going to a bowl game. All right, we'll get back and continue our conversation about this on the postgame show here on the game.
First and 10 now for the Aggies at the Carolina 14. Reed wants to throw again. In the pocket, trying corner route, into coverage, and picked off. The Gamecocks get an interception in the end zone.
You are kidding me.
We refuse to let them score. Bakari Swain.
The first of Bakari Swain's 2 picks in the first half, as South Carolina could have had 5 interceptions in the first half.
Yeah. He was playing out of his mind that first half, man.
I mean, and that's the thing, too, Jay. When you lose a game like this, you look back on that and say, man, if you could have grabbed one of those.
Yeah.
Because all 3 were in A&M territory. 2 were on the same drive. The one where our boy Fred had a chance to get that pick and hit off his hands. Kilgore, 3 or 4 plays later, that would have been a pick 6. Possibly, because he cut that route, and if he catches that thing, he's going to be deep in A&M territory. He might take that thing back to the house. So you had 3 opportunities to get more interceptions you didn't bank on, and when you lose a game like this, you start going, well, if you could have got that, you could have got that. You know, it's just that's the way you think once you have a game like this, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, and every little thing matters, and that's just it. Again, this one, I know Shane wants us all, and I get it, to look at this game as, man, we lost by 1 point on the road to the number 3 team in the country who's been playing lights out. We're that close. Even Greg Sankey made mention of that. Hey, look at that. There was a 1 point game. That's the top of our league and the bottom of our league. So I understand that point of view. Again, the difference here, of course, is that you were up by 27.
Right, and that's the thing, right? Look, I'm gonna quote the great philosopher Jay Phillips. Tell me how you lost.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you lost. You couldn't score in the second half. To the last caller's point about Shane, look, I get it. Feel how you feel.
Right.
I don't agree with him. I do. And listen, there's a couple of things I could say. Look, they do have to get better in some of the in-game management, and Shane is still learning that. But you were on the cusp of the college football playoff last season. That wasn't a fluke. You earned that opportunity. This year you fell back to earth, and you fell harder than you might have expected. That's unfortunate. But he mentioned Dabo and said, look at what Dabo has done. Terry, I'm going to tell you right now, and I've said this for years too, Clemson's peak of success under Dabo Swinney was the result of a relentless recruiting effort, period. It's not that Dabo can't coach. It's not that his coordinators couldn't coach. He had Brent Venables for a while. Chad Morris was good. He had other guys doing this and that. Dabo had never been a coordinator in his life. He was just a rah-rah guy, and they were like, man, somebody's got to take the interim job here because we fired Tommy. All right, but hey, Dabo, you want to do it? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. What the hell? Then he beat South Carolina, and the job is his. I see a lot of similarities in Shane and Dabo. Again, let me repeat. The primary reason for Clemson's success under Dabo was a relentless recruiting effort, and South Carolina has to follow that same step. The landscape in terms of how you recruit and who you recruit is different, but the basic premise is the same. You got to go build the relationships and get them to trust you. Shane can do that. I still believe in that. I do think look, Shane has already admitted it. For whatever reasons, the offense has never gotten going in any consistent basis. Even last year, Terry, under Shane Beamer. And I don't know why that is. It almost as if like it's been snake bitten from the get-go when Mike Bobo didn't keep the job, and then it was Marcus Satterfield, and now Dowell's gone on to be a head coach. And I know Shane made a point last week. It was a pretty impassioned, like 3 or 4 minutes about, Marcus wasn't fired. Marcus got a job with Matt Rule. Well, Matt Rule had to, fire Marcus Satterfield too. I was never a big fan of Marcus's. I like Dowell, but Dowell wanted to be a head coach. So here you were again thinking, hey, Mike has worked with Lenoris. I think this can work too. It didn't. Mike is just too old-fashioned, my words, when it came to play calling. If Mike Furry is good enough and they can show some life and some creativity, then go get it done. But in this market especially, I don't think South Carolina should be in the hunt for a head coach right now. I think you've got somebody that likes the job, that can recruit. Help him go recruit. That's my big thing.
I think it's one of those things. Right now, it's a program that did almost go to the college football playoff last year, and it feels like right now it's a year-to-year type program. But one of the things that could fix it the best would be getting some offensive creativity in here to go with the defense and the special teams. 5 o'clock news next here on the game.
Better than integrated media when it comes to home theater, and this time of year especially. You want to keep things fun and festive, but you also need to keep things secure. So do the best of both. If you want the latest in home technology when it comes to televisions, sound, indoors or outdoors, Wi-Fi that works everywhere, integrated media. But how about keeping your home secure, not just this time of year, but all year long? They can install video doorbells for you. They can install security cameras inside and outside the home, lighting, and you can control it all from one app to make sure everybody is nice and secure. All right, so if you've been around and seen different things at your friend's house, your brother-in-law's house, or whomever's house, integrated media can make all that happen for you as well. The best in home theater and home technology, 803-948-8327. Call Integrated Media.
As soon as we get the old computer to refresh up, we'll get you the latest traffic report. Obviously, we've got our typical construction slowdowns through the Midlands. That's day-to-day, whether it's I-126 at Hugie, whether it is Malfunction Junction, we have got the typical slowdowns. So be ready for that, like always. Get you caught up here on the accident shortly. It looks like it's going to refresh here in just a minute. Or maybe not. We're trying. Finding here we go. Hopefully it's going to come back to us here real quick before we run out of time. We're running out of time. We'll get to it in the next one with our traffic report. right, we are hitting the 5 o'clock news, sponsored by our Buds Integrated Media. And Jay is putting together the news desk as we speak. And as he puts it together, we're going to give you a chance to win some tickets here in just a little bit for the South Carolina-Radford game tomorrow night, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip right here on the Game in Columbia and our affiliate in Myrtle Beach. We'll give you a chance here this hour to win a family 4-pack. We'll have 2 of them to give away for you, so that's coming up later on this hour. But to the news desk, our correspondent in Forest Acres, in a bunker, be like, what was the old thing with, what was that, Dick Cheney back in the day? He was in some bunker at an undisclosed location.
Yeah, something like that.
In a bunker in an undisclosed location.
In the depths of unknown.
Jay Phillips with the 5 o'clock news, sponsored by Integrated Media.
Near Forest Acres, perhaps. Still officially living in the city. But nevertheless, Gamecocks fall 31-30 on Saturday to Texas A&M. The conference slate is done. South Carolina finishes a disappointing 1-7 in the SEC this season. The only victory at home over Kentucky earlier this year. As we've said, hard to put it into words. Devastating, confusing, disheartening, embarrassing. As we mentioned, some said typical. South Carolina only 15 first downs to A&M's 23. A&M outgained Carolina 503 to 388, and it was especially devastating in the second half through the air because in the first half, Marcel Reed was not good, but in the second half, he was spectacular. But overall, the A&M quarterback finished 22 of 39, 439 yards, whereas South Carolina was 16 of 31 through the air, 267. Lenoris picked once. Reed was picked twice, both by Vicari Swain. South Carolina committed 8 penalties to A&M's 6. But overall, just not the kind of day that you expect once you take a 27-point halftime lead. Shane Beamer basically said, cut 23, Jalen. This was a game where Carolina just didn't hit when they needed to.
Yeah, huge. And that's disappointing too because we had a couple of those against Alabama too. Some dropped interceptions, an opportunity to make a plays on all across the defense. So that was, disappointing to see that again. But yeah, that's one of the things that coming into the game, Jack, that we talked about. I mean, Reed's a heck of a quarterback. When you go whatever he was, 22 of 39 for 439 and 3 touchdowns, and then being able to run the ball effectively. He's a dynamic player, but we did feel like we'd be able to affect him and that he would give us some opportunities to get some interceptions. We talked about it in the team meeting yesterday, right before we left to go to the airport. I showed the whole team, some plays where the end of the Notre Dame game, and I'm not taking anything away from him. Please don't take this as criticism, but everybody remembers the 4th down play that they threw to beat Notre Dame. I mean, there was a 2nd down and a 3rd down where Notre Dame had an opportunity to end the game and get an interception right there, and they weren't able to capitalize. And we talked about it yesterday in Columbia that, we need to capitalize on those opportunities, and he's going to throw us some, and we've got to capitalize. But, those guys are playing their rear ends off and had a chance. They got their hands on balls, and that's all you can ask for. But, yeah, the margin for us, for anybody, especially in this league, I mean, Coach Elko and I were talking before the game, people don't understand what a freaking war this league is week in, week out. I mean, it's an absolute war that's unlike any other conference in the world, and the margins are just that small, and we're not making enough plays on the other side of the winning margins that we need to right now.
1-point losses are devastating. And again, Terry, as I asked earlier, rhetorically, of course, because look, South Carolina blew a 27-point lead. I can't change the facts. But had this game been a back-and-forth slugfest, Gamecock fans don't feel better. They likely feel differently about this outcome. I talked to a couple of friends of mine who said, I'd just as soon go ahead and get my butt kicked than feel like I do right now. Right. I get that too. You'd feel differently if A&M had been up 27 at halftime, because maybe in some people's minds that's what you were expecting. I do think it shows that this team, to validate some of what Shane has said, is closer to being good than people think. But you know what, Terry? After 8 games in this league, despite how much of a war it is, and you had a couple of close losses, no question. You finished 1-7. You are who you are, and that's what's got to be fixed.
Yeah, and look, here's the sad part of what happened Saturday, is you forget the first half. You just do. Yep. You don't think about the first half, where they scored 30 points. And that was phenomenal. And the offense did look better than it had all year. That was great. Your defense, Dylan Stewart tackled the entire backfield. Nick Barrett picked it up and ran for a touchdown. Phenomenal. Nick Harbor's play, phenomenal. Dre Jacobs down the field, great. Linares had some really good moments and made some throws that reminded you of what he could be, and had a couple runs remind you what he could be. All of that you forgot about when you went to the second half. The defense dominated a good Texas A&M offensive line. Who cares? Because you went out in the second half, and you historically gave up a 27-point lead. So everything, the good that happened in the first half, Jay, is gone to everybody's head.
I'll add, too, the fans. I think once they saw the momentum switching, they immediately bought back into the game because the fans were just taken out of it. They were just shocked at what they were seeing, that why would a number 3 ranked team in the country only score 3 points in one half? So when they got going, I think it just rattled Carolina the rest of the way to where they couldn't find any momentum to kind of get more points on the board in the second half.
I agree with that. I do. And A&M knew they were close in the first half. Again, you have an interception in the end zone and a couple other missed opportunities for them. So,
and you know what, really quick, before we go off of that, to the point of, look, A&M, think about this, guys. Not only were you down 27, but you had 2 crippling moments in the first half that most teams are done. You get the pick of Linares, right? You get inside the 10. You have your wide receiver drop a touchdown pass, then your kicker chokes a field goal from, 24 yards?
Yeah, dunked it. Yep.
And then you think about it. You get back down there again. Your quarterback throws an awful interception, and on the first play after that, the other team gets an 80-yard touchdown.
Yep.
And now your quarterback went 1 for 11 with 2 interceptions to end the half. It couldn't have been worse. Those guys, to their credit, didn't give up.
Right.
And they came out, and as soon as they scored, and they're on the sidelines geeking each other up. They're down 30-10, and they were acting like they were in a 1-score game, and they're still down 20.
Well, because they believed at that point.
That's the point.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where we go. We talk about South Carolina. You got in the second half of that game, and mentally from the neck up, players on that field were losing their belief, right? I mean, because nobody expected you to win that game. You were a huge underdog, and you were killing these guys in the first half. And you were up 30-3. ESPN's predictor had you at 155%. And here they come. And you didn't match it. You follow what I mean? They had belief, and you had to match that belief with your belief that, no, we belong in this game. We should win this game because we got a big lead, and we're not giving it up. One side believed a hell of a lot more than the other, Jay, is what I'm saying.
They did. Certainly. You saw it. We'll have more from Coach Beamer on the game coming up in our Gamecock Notebook in just a minute. One other thing that was obviously somewhat surreal, and we haven't talked about it yet today because, quite honestly, it just didn't matter all that much, certainly in the football. But I think the planet has now seen the video of the Texas State trooper bumping Nick Harbor after he hobbled down the tunnel after the touchdown and, pointing at him and basically telling him to get out of here or something. I don't really know. I guess he bumped Attaway and then bumped Attaway, not Harbor. But nevertheless, that trooper was immediately removed from his duty. At this point in time, there's still an investigation going on. I've not seen anything further. I did see that there's been a couple of national columns calling for his suspension. He hasn't even been named yet at this point. So not that maybe he should or shouldn't, Terry. I'll leave that to the folks out in Texas. But Shane was asked about that in postgame, and here's what he had to say.
What cut?
24.
I would hope so. I did not see that, wasn't aware of that. Got a ton of respect for the people here at College Station. They this is a first-class operation. Everybody from a game operation standpoint, they do a great job and are first-class people. So I appreciate them handling that the right way and sending him home.
So we'll see if anybody out there says anything further. Again, Terry, we don't want to dwell on it, but can I just ask, what the hell?
I don't know. I've watched it a few times. I don't know if it's some guy who's just decided he wanted to puff up his chest because they went down in the tunnel and it's the Gamecocks.
That's one. I don't know. I don't care. I don't think he cares who the opponent is.
No, I didn't think he was.
I doubt he even knows where South Carolina is.
No, he probably. What state are they in? I think he was a guy. Again, he's all got his thing going. He's got his adrenaline going, his intensity going.
Yeah.
And it's the opposing team. And it's not the Aggies, and the guy ran in the tunnel, and the score isn't the way anybody wants it, and he's got a little bit too much juice going, so to speak, and he went Paul Blart Mall Cop. I don't know.
Yeah, the difference is Paul Blart doesn't carry a Glock.
Right, this guy's a state trooper. You're right, that's the most dangerous part. When I found out it was a state trooper, I was like, seriously? Come on, man.
I guess he did it to try to get a reaction out of Nick Harbor because a typical player, if you get a touch like that, he would have went back to kind of like say something. Nick Harbor just kept walking.
I want to say this real quick. And Oscar Attaway kind of pulled everybody back. I want to give the South Carolina players props right there. They kept going.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped and turned and yapped back. No one did anything. They just kept going back out to the field. You know what I mean? Because there are players that would have turned around and went, what?
Yeah.
So I'll give those guys credit that they went back to the field and didn't make that thing any worse than it was.
Well, I'm glad whoever is in charge removed that guy.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
You can't do that.
Not at all. No.
You can't do that. Anyway, again, we'll keep you updated on that story from out Texas way in terms of what that guy may be looking at. I got a hunch that he just won't work a football game again. That'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, speaking of out west, even farther, Saturday night, Dawn Staley's team with a really impressive win, that 69-52 victory over the other USC. They called it like the real SC matchup out in L.A. So I guess for now, at least, in women's basketball, the real SC is here in Columbia. Gamecocks go to 4-0. Big night for them. Joyce Edwards was tremendous on both ends of the floor, 17 and 10. Carolina, again, wins that one by 17 points over the Trojans.
Can I say this, Jay, real quick?
Please.
From watching this game, I really think that was the best performance I've seen Raven Johnson play in a Carolina uniform.
Wow, yeah, she's been – she has this year looks like it's going to be – because I forget her opening night line, man, but it was –
Oh, she hit those three threes in the first half. She was on fire.
But she had the steals and the assists and the boards. I mean, she's
playing really well.
Yeah, she looked like she was controlling what was going on, and it was a neutral site game. And then, the years that she's been here, she hasn't really performed well in neutral site games. So to see her do that, step in the right direction for her.
I agree.
It's her offense to run. Absolutely.
Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day. Again, big story breaking in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech and James Franklin are near a deal to have him become the new Hokies head coach. Pete Thamel and others are reporting this. Pete is the national college football writer for ESPN. Ironically, Terry, he will replace Brent Pry, who left James Franklin's staff to become the head coach 4 years ago, but it just didn't work out. So, again, not done yet, but multiple reports suggest that James Franklin will become the new head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies. We could have more detail even before we leave the air. If not, certainly I think by tomorrow this one is probably finalized. And that is our integrated media headlines of the day. We'll come back with more from a very disheartening 31-30 loss for Carolina. The Gamecock Notebook is next. AAA Heating and Air, ready to keep you and your family nice and warm through the holiday season and beyond. If it's been a while since you have had your heating system checked, might be a good idea to call 803-677-1500 and let one of the great technicians at AAA get into your home, maybe down in the basement or up in the attic, wherever you keep your heating unit. Furnace is probably downstairs. Maybe you got a heat pump somewhere, but it's been a little while. Maybe it's kicked on and is a little rattly, and you're like, I don't know if that's good. They'll come fix it up for you and keep you nice and warm. Maybe time for a brand new system. You can still, through the end of the year, take advantage of guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for a full year on a new system for qualified buyers, a $1,500 system buyback rebate, and the 15-year parts and labor guarantee. Do what my family's done. Many of your friends and neighbors stay nice and comfortable for many years to come when you call 803-677-1500. Work with AAA Heating and Air.
You know, to say that I'm at a loss for words would be an understatement. It's really just a really disappointing day. Give credit to Texas A&M. They're a championship team, That's why they're the number 3 team in the country and undefeated. They played like a championship team in the second half, and just so disappointed with our performance in the second half. Nobody came in the locker room celebrating, thinking this thing was over. We talked about it. I mean, last year in this game, we were up big and allowed them to come back and tie the game or take the lead, actually. And then we came back and played great in the second half, but it was the same story today, but they played better than we did in the second half, and they coached better and they played better when it mattered.
Post-game show, there is Shane Beamer basically at a loss for words for what happened on Saturday. I get it. There were people in
That's how
Harris.
I felt, man.
People in Harris had a loss for words. There were people who had a lot of words we can't repeat on the radio at the end of that game, but there were a lot of folks who were, like Shane, at a loss for words with an epic loss of a 27-point lead.
I just said how?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Well, you watched
again,
it.
There's so many different ways that you could have felt about a game like that, at least a score like that, depending on how you got there. But because of how you did get there, this is again devastating, I think, to a lot of people, and it could be damaging to a program in a lot of a lot of people's minds. I don't know that it will or won't. Listen, go win these next 2. And it doesn't everything's great. No, you're still going to have a losing record if you win the next 2. But the next 2 are against 2 in-state teams. One you should be expected to beat, and the other we know what that game is. So
you can't let this loss in College Station snowball into 2 more losses. You just can't.
No.
So.
No. All right, let's get back at it.
All right, little Gamecock Notebook action. Let's do this thing, man. All right, let's start off. We'll get back on the Reaction Monday. The Gamecock Notebook, we'll open it up and let John jump in here. Appreciate your patience, my friend. John, you're on the post-game show on the game. What's up, man?
Unbelievable would be my word for that game, fellas. I think there were 3 plays in that game that really turned the tide of it. Y'all touched on 2 of them. The first one, to me, was 4th and 12, and Marcel Reed scrambles and has the first down before a Carolina player is even in the picture frame. And I've got a 65-inch 4K screen, so there was a lot of room there, and I don't know how anybody allowed him to get away the way he did there. You could throw the other 4th down conversion in there as well if you want to on that, but the second one, y'all touched on it as well. The 3rd down and 2 and the 4th down and 1 at the A&M 31 and 30-yard lines. Just, again, why is Lenoris not getting the ball there? If you get beat in that situation, and I said this to Holly as it was happening, I said, okay, 3rd down and 2, you give it to Matt Fuller, I'm fine with that. 4th and 1, you give it to Lenoris, whether it's under center or out of the gun. Let him be the battering ram that he can be, and let him get the first down. Because if you get beat, you want to get beat with your best, and if A&M stops you with your best, good on them. But the one play that no one has brought up, except for me for some reason, and I even brought this up yesterday on Dari Noka's Sirius XM show, and he even agreed with me on this. The very first play of the 4th quarter, 1st down and 10 at the A&M 1. Reed, I think, is in the gun. He drops back, and I couldn't tell if it was, what happened is Judge Collier gets called for a very weak sauce pass interference call that probably shouldn't have been called, but what got completely missed, I couldn't tell if it was Nick Barrett or Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, but clearly somebody in the end zone got held egregiously, and nothing was called. If that gets called correctly, if that play is called correctly by the officials, that's 2 points South Carolina, and Carolina gets the ball back. And do I sound like sour grapes here? Probably so, but I'm a college football fan. That's what we all do at some point or another. But I promise you, if any of those plays go differently, we are probably talking about a completely different outcome. And, fellas, if I could make one more point, I think that right now it's the right decision to bring Shane back. I think if he can get the offensive coordinator hire right, then we have a good season next year. Everybody wins. We continue on. If not, then, at some point mid-season, that's when you make a change, because obviously today Virginia Tech is hiring James Franklin. This is college football evolving. And you see a lot of these programs that are changing coaches right now, or that have already changed coaches. It's a different ballgame. It's, the signing period starts the week after the season ends. You cannot wait. You have to make these moves earlier in the year. So I think it's right to bring Shane back. I know a lot of people don't. For some reason, I still do trust Shane to get it right, because I genuinely think he's got a good culture. He recruits well. Strength and conditioning are good. Things that you could not say about his predecessor. I think it's just simply a case of get the offensive coordinator correct, do a little bit better in the portal with the offensive line, and it's a completely different story a year from now if those things happen.
All right, John, we appreciate you.
Thank you, John. I agree with those last points. I do. You got to get that offensive line fixed, but you got to get that OC right. But I think everything else about what they want to do, Terry, is really in good shape. That's my opinion as well.
I think that, and I've said this before, look, we got to see these last two games obviously play themselves out and finish out the season and see where everything goes, and then decisions can be made. Look, if we sat here and said, okay, here's a guy that's had success, 9-win season, 8-win season, went to a bowl game his first year, and most people thought they would win 4 games. But then we've also seen massive disappointments in a 5-7, and now a season where you're sitting a 1-7 in the SEC, coming off almost going to the college football playoff. It's a year-to-year thing, right, Jay? It's where we feel like. Yep. And when it's gone sideways, we've started with the offensive line and the offense. It's been 2 parts, right? Offensive line and offense. So, yes, those have been the things that have held us back. And so because of that, it feels like a year-to-year project. So, yes, if you get the offensive line right and you get the offensive coordinator right, then you have fixed your 2 major problems. So that I agree with that absolutely. Now, again, you want to finish the year. You cannot lose these last 2. You just can't. You can't let what happened in College Station affect the rest of your season. And that's a major thing. Well, if you can – split these and go, I guess, limp in at, 4-8? Or if you beat Clemson. Let's say you beat Clemson at the end of the year.
The way
everybody feels better.
On Friday.
Yeah.
So, again, if you can at least beat Clemson or you have a really good competitive game with Clemson, whatever. If you can beat Clemson, everybody feels better. But if you these next 2 games do matter. They really do. Even though you are not eligible for a bowl game, you got to find a way to finish this on some kind of strong note. Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I don't know that people. I mean, I get your point in a general sense about a split, but I don't think that's what people are looking for here. And I'm just going to look right now. I mean, last I checked, South Carolina, 57% chance to beat Clemson. So
here's the thing. All right, so let's play scenario. We don't have much time here, but you beat Coastal like a drum, and you lose a close game to Clemson. Then what's the feeling going in? Now, if you can win them both, obviously everybody goes, yeah, it was really disappointing, but you ended on a strong note by beating the 2 in-state teams.
Is Clemson? But here's the thing, Terry. I don't think there's a Carolina fan out there who believes Clemson's better than South Carolina.
Oh, this year, I mean, what have we seen from both of them?
No, yeah,
you follow what I'm saying?
I mean,
so that's the point. So this thing has a long way to go still. You got 2 weeks to see how it all plays itself out. It just does. But, yeah, the 2 things, if you go into this offseason, and for Shane in 2026, you got to fix the offensive line and the offense. You just have to, moving forward.
Amen.
All right, drive around the SEC. It was an interesting weekend in the Southeastern Conference. We'll get to that next here on the Postgame Show. And now, 803-404-6100. Give us a ring. 2 family 4-packs are going to give away. Callers number 3 and 4 get to go tomorrow night to see South Carolina Radford. Callers 3 and 4, 803-404-6100. 2 family 4-packs. Give us a ring now on the game.
Propane ready to help you upgrade your fireplace. So all you got to do is turn it off before the big guy comes down the chimney, if you know what I mean. Stop into a Palmetto Propane hearth and patio home store showroom near you. They feature premium brands of top-of-the-line gas fireplaces and other gas appliances, including things that like Santa won't need, like a Rinnai tankless water heater. But when you got a whole bunch of family in the house and you're taking showers and running the dishwasher and the laundry all the time, you don't want to run out of hot water ever. They can help you out with that too. Outdoor fire features, lights, and so much more to help you out. Grills, accessories, and remember, full service installation from start to finish when it comes to these new fireplaces and fire features for you. Again, Palmetto Propane Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms in Lexington, Batesburg, West Columbia, or online. Learn more right now. PalmettoPropane.com.
All righty, a quick check on the traffic. Some accidents. Farrow Road north of Killian. Also, Lloydswood Drive at Charleston Highway. Longtown Road near Clemson Road. South Lake Drive at I-120. Also, Two Notch Road at Raybon Road as well. We'll come back, give you a drive around the SEC right here on the postgame show. Jalen, Jay, Terry here on the game. All right, we found out that Greg Sankey has had Jay tased and taken off the premises. So we will no longer be doing this from Greg Sankey's palatial estate. So we're back again at Jay's house.
Well, the truth is, I was just, he makes a lot more money than we do, and he's got a nice wine cellar. and I was just stealing his $100 bottles of wine.
Golly.
Wait a minute, there's no Mad Dog in that wine cellar? No Mad Dog, no Boone's Farm?
And that's the first thing you see in his nice estate?
Well, that's the first thing Jay went for.
Oh.
Well, I am kind of I'm a beer snob and a wine snob, but I can't afford the $100 bottles.
How about the box ones? You go for the box of wine?
No, not gonna lie, Tara, I don't.
I'm stunned.
I like it to come.
I'm stunned that Jay Phillips wouldn't go for the box wine.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had the boxed wine. Maybe I have. I don't know. Maybe I have and don't know it. Maybe I thought I was getting a nice glass of wine at a restaurant, and next thing I know, the bartender's pulling a fast one, and it's just coming out of a box.
Yeah, they could have and put it in that fancy wine goblet, and you fell for it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it is drive around the SEC time. I think as much as I want to start in Athens, we're going to start in Tuscaloosa. I don't know how surprised you guys might be. I picked Oklahoma to cover this spread, but I didn't necessarily know if Oklahoma was going to win the football game. But, fellas, that defense was spectacular, and I thought Oklahoma – I mean, look, Bama didn't. It was a slugfest in the second half, especially.
Yes.
But the Oklahoma defense was tremendous, and they fully deserved that win.
Like I said,
23-21.
I mean, I said last week. I said for them to get a win in Knoxville against Tennessee in a big primetime game with that remarkable entrance that Tennessee had, I said that they had full confidence in going to Alabama. I personally thought it wasn't going to be close, even when I did pick them. But to see them go in and play the way that they play with that defense, they're a playoff team. I just don't see how anybody is going to go up against that defense. I think they're tough to beat defensively.
Yeah, my whole thing with them, I give them a ton of props. Let's start with that Alabama game. I didn't think they'd win in Tuscaloosa. You know, Kalen DeBoer had never lost a home game with a crowd since he's been coaching in the FBS.
Mm-hmm.
So I give Oklahoma a ton of credit. They forced 3 turnovers, and that defense just took that game over. What we talk about, Jay? Oklahoma had to go make that game ugly, make it physical. Make it kind of a rock fight, and they did in a lot of ways. I give them a lot of props. They won that game. Because John Mateer, since that injury, has not been the John Mateer we saw before that injury. That defense has really been carrying them, man.
Well, and we kind of expected that could be the case for a Brent Venables team. No, Jalen, you're right. Look, the Tennessee win, then a week off to get ready for Bama, to win those two on the road the way they did. Very impressive. Now they get Missouri and LSU at home in the final 2 ball games. I very much like their opportunity to finish with 10 wins. And
I don't know. The way Missouri put up 49 against Mississippi State.
Yeah, but Mississippi State's defense, not Oklahoma's, man. Whole different animal.
I mean, I hear you, Jalen, but I don't see it. You never know in this league. You never know in this league. But I don't see Missouri going to Norman and getting a W.
With a third-string quarterback, I don't see it either.
I don't see it.
I just don't.
I just don't see it. So there you go. Big win for Oklahoma. Georgia. Look, they're hitting their stride too. Much like the Sooners. Georgia was just absolutely fantastic in my opinion on Saturday night. One thing I told you guys on Friday, Terry, is I just didn't think that Texas could do to Georgia what Mississippi and Alabama had done to Georgia, and that is go into Athens and dominate the first half offensively. I just didn't think Texas had that in them, and they didn't. And then for Georgia to just continue to lock down, Gunnar Stockton took a step up, and then Kirby with the special teams coup to hit that onside kick.
Oh, how awesome was that?
That was amazing.
The call was gutsy, but then it has to be executed perfectly, and it was.
It was. The kick was perfect.
You couldn't have asked for better, and that just sealed the deal. But Georgia is very much looking the part, and Georgia now sitting at 9-1. They're going to get their 10th this weekend. They've got, I think, Florida A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And then even though it's technically a road game in Atlanta, it's not going to be at Grant Field this year. For those of you who didn't hear, Georgia Tech basically sold their home game and moved it, to the Dome. Now, Grant Field and the Georgia Dome or Mercedes-Benz aren't all that far apart from one another, but this will now, instead of being a home game outside, this will be, for Georgia Tech, this will be a road game because there will be way more Georgia fans than there will be Tech fans.
Yeah.
And Tech is good.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's a game like last year, which was an
instant classic.
Phenomenal last year. And you know what? Again, fourth quarter, Georgia showed up again. It's been like this all year. That game was close, and then Georgia in the fourth quarter stepped on the gas. And, two gutsy go for it on fourth downs, too. We can't forget that.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You get the onside
and that's
kick.
Kirby, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference, man, is that Kirby, and it's interesting. He's a defensive-minded guy, obviously, but he's got a go-for-the-jugular attitude as a head coach.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I think serves Georgia very, very well.
Absolutely.
I'm at a point now where if I'm any of these top teams going into the playoff, I don't want to play Georgia.
No, because
the thing is, Georgia is still on the outside looking in for the SEC championship,
Mm-hmm.
which could be to their benefit. They might get a home game.
Right. Real quick, to your point about Kirby, also, cut 33, Jalen. This was Kirby after the game talking about the victory over Texas and just like Georgia football in general. Hit it.
Yeah, it's the approach we take. We're gonna dominate and try to win the fourth quarter. It's what we do in practice. It's what we do in the off season. It's what we build our core culture around, is being a more physical team. And you have to recruit physical players, and they have to buy into that process. I don't know that a lot of these kids nowadays, they want to check. They don't want physicality. And if you have the check and no physicality, you end up with nothing. So we're not just getting checks at our place. We're hitting people.
I love that.
He ain't wrong.
I love that. We're not just giving out checks. We're hitting people. But to that point, I mean, that's Georgia. Georgia now gets culture wins. And, yeah, you got to have players and all that stuff. But, again, those guys look at each other when the fourth quarter starts. They say, look, I don't know who on this roster is going to make the plays, but somebody on this roster is going to make the plays where we win the game. To the point, that onside kick, you got a backup running back who no one's ever heard of, who was right there, Johnny on the spot to catch that kick after it went 10 yards to recover it. You had the kicker. Phenomenal onside kick execution to set up the backup running back to catch the onside. You never know who it's going to be, but everybody on that roster, Jay, believes they could be the guy to win the game in the fourth quarter for that team. That's a culture, man. I mean, hats off to Kirby.
And that backup running back's most likely a 4-star recruit. Don't forget that.
Yes.
Nobody's ever heard of him because that's the way it is.
And Ready Jay will hit the transfer portal next year and be starting somewhere else.
Maybe. Or
he waits around for his turn. One of the two.
Yeah, and play. Yeah. Florida took it to Ole Miss early, but could not hold on. Ole Miss absolutely dominant defensively in the second half. They win in Oxford 34-24. And the only other conference game, LSU edged Arkansas 23-22 in a very ugly game over in Baton Rouge. But Arkansas remains winless in conference play. Kentucky and Tennessee both picking up very easy non-con victories. So that's our drive around the SEC for this Monday. We'll come back and wrap it up for you with the Gamecocks after this.
All right, we'll get to the old Jay versus the internet here in just a minute. But first, there is some news, Jay, that in case anyone's missed it. What's happening with James Franklin and Virginia Tech?
Yeah, so Pete Thamel and others on the national beat are reporting that Virginia Tech and James Franklin are in the process of finalizing his deal. Let's be honest with the audience, and most of you know this probably, but the national guys, Pete, Andy Staples, those kind of guys, Bruce Feldman, they all talk to the agents. So the agent wants this story out there. So that's why this story is out there. Virginia Tech would probably just as soon keep it kind of close to the vest unless they just want to go ahead and start making a big PR splash. So that this is out there, Terry, is not an accident, and It's not some slip. This is very intentional. No word in any of these articles I've looked at about how much he'll make. Remember, he has a mitigation clause in his Penn State contract. So while he is technically due 40-some million, I think 45, 46 million to leave Penn State, it will come down to, whatever the amount is Virginia Tech pays him and then whatever's left over. So Virginia Tech can get him at a bargain. Now, again, like you and I joked, Terry, they're not going to pay him minimum wage. He's going to have to – he'll probably make $5-6 million a year, but it won't be the, 9+ that he was making. And then Penn State covers that difference. I like this hire. If this does end up being done later tonight or first thing in the morning or something like that, I think this is a good fit for both parties. I really do.
Yeah, look, Franklin's going to win. He won at Vandy. He won at Penn State. He'll win at Virginia Tech. They're putting like $250 million into the athletic program / football program is really where it's going. They want to try to get back to what they were under Frank Beamer. Franklin's going to win games. It's an easier path in the ACC to get to the college football playoff. You said it earlier. Franklin, from his time at Maryland and time at Penn State, knows how to recruit the DMV, the Tidewater area of Virginia. I think it's a hell of a hire. Look, there's no guarantee anything works anymore, but I think this is a really good hire by Virginia Tech if they finalize this deal for James Franklin. I'm with you 100%, man. I really am.
I like it. Just to be real quick, I think this will put Virginia Tech in a conversation to kind of like take the helm of, being the forefront of the ACC. But on the other side of it, too, it could be fans that may have paid attention to how James Franklin got, left Penn State, how that all went down, to be like, well, would that continue at Virginia Tech?
And the other part is, right now, Clemson obviously had an underachieving down year. Florida State, another underachieving down year. They'll probably have a new head coach next year. Miami can't get out of their own way with Mario Cristobal, no matter how talented they are. The ACC is kind of there, right? To be able to make a big jump if you're James Franklin. So again, that makes it appealing as well. All right, Reaction Monday here on the game. Real quick,
I'll say real fast. I need to congratulate somebody. His name is Terry Ford. He didn't win the entire week, but he did win the on-air portion of the Wild Card Showdown with a 4-1.
Woo!
Good job,
How
Terry Ford.
about that guy?
4-1. Yours truly went 3-2. Elijah went 2-3. Our listeners did well. Robert went 3-2, but Randy also went 4-1. And Randy was closer on the tiebreak. The tiebreak was total offense for Arch over at Georgia. It was 234. That was the real number. Randy guessed 241 to your 272. So Randy, Terry will call you.
Congratulations, man.
And buy you a beer or something.
Yes,
so
or buy you a beer card.
You and Elijah are now 31-29, 2 games behind me at 33-27. So it's coming down to the wire.
Look at us. We're all above 500. We're all above 500, man. Man, how about that? That was a long climb from Suckville, where we were earlier. Woo!
It was bad for a while.
It was. All right, real quick, a couple shots on the Firehouse subtext on 803-404-6100 about the Gamecock loss to Texas A&M. 0 player leadership on this team is what Christian says. Also, let's see. This staff takes 1 step forward and 2 steps back all the time. And then when Reed picked up that 4th and 12 early in the third quarter, I knew what was about to happen. And it did. So there's a couple quickies off the Firehouse sub text line.
That was the play of the game. I will contend that was the play of the game.
Yeah, for me, and you nailed that one as your play. Me, fourth down was the down of the game because, I mean, they convert that 4th and 12, and then South Carolina can't convert the 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And those two plays to me, once you missed that 4th and 1, then A&M went back down and boom, boom, touchdown. You could just feel it. You felt it.
And I agree with everybody today who said, why didn't Lenoris have the ball on that play?
I mean, and I think
agree.
we've said this. I think this has been a case of it all year. Overthinking the room at times.
Yep.
I just think sometimes the simple answer's right in front of your face, and you make it more complicated.
Best player on the field, man. Use the best player on the field.
Don't overthink it. Again, urine is better than therein.
Yeah.
Minen's better than therein. Use minen.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson's running that ball for Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Running that ball for the Panthers.
All right, hit the music real quick. Let's do a little Jay versus the internet before we get out of here. All right, simple one. Tonight, Monday Night Football. Cowboys, Raiders, Dallas 3.5-point favorites in Vegas. Where you got?
Pulling for Mrs. Phillips, Dallas.
Smart man. The couch is a cold, cold place. All right, over under 49.5, sir.
Under.
And finally, in the SEC, men's basketball, number 20, Tennessee hosting Rice. Tennessee 26.5-point favorite tonight against Rice.
Yeah, give me Tennessee to cover that.
All right, thanks to all of you who participated in Reaction Monday. Obviously, our buddy Jay, good job. Jalen, excellent work. We'll do it again tomorrow at 3. Thanks. See you. You know, we always talk about the men's clinic because, you know, you need a place where when guys aren't feeling like themselves or they're getting older and not feeling like their younger self and want to see what's going on because they're nervous, they're scared, they're concerned. They got all sorts of things going on with themselves that didn't happen before. And God forbid you go to Wikipedia or you go to Google and start Googling what's going on with you because you're going to see something that's going to scare the bleep out of you. Sometimes it could be they're easy answers. Sometimes it's just low testosterone. Or whatever those answers could be, set up a consultation for free at the Men's Clinic, 803-875-MENS. Go in, tell them your story. If they think it could be low T, they'll do lab work. If it comes back low testosterone, they'll put you on a program specifically designed to get you back to being you again. If it's something else, they can possibly help you with that as well. 803-875-MENS. Start feeling like you again. Start with the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.